Hello, welcome to Floorex. Today we're going to demonstrate taking up some vinyl flooring here with three different tools. So we have the hand scraper, razor hand scraper. We have a Beaver 240, it's a push type model. And we have the Beaver 300 self-propelled floor scraper. We're going to demonstrate taking up this vinyl floor. So we've had this laid down here for quite a while. The forklifts have been running over it to increase the adhesion. We've also put a line through the centre here and we've scored that to separate the two. And we're going to demonstrate the difference in time to take up this floor covering. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is using this razor hand scraper. And we're going to show you how to do this. So typically what we'd do is take a knife and score the floor into 50mm wide or 2-inch strips. So I'll do that now. And we're going to take up that floor with a razor hand scraper. Okay, so you can see that is quite a laborious task. Even with a razor blade, it's quite difficult to take up and not a real pleasant job to do. Okay, so now we've demonstrated the hand scraper, we're moving to the Beaver 240. What we're going to do is install a carpet blade into the Beaver 240 machine. So you can see here it's 120mm wide and it has the cutting wings on the side of the blade, and then we're going to use that to run through here, a strip through about here, another strip through about in this position, and once we've done those two strips right the way through, then we're going to install 300mm or 250mm blade into this floor scraper and take up the remaining section here, whatever's left over. So that's called striping the floor. Alright, so when you're using a floor scraper, it's a good idea to use the self-locking cable connectors here. So screw that together and then put the cord over top of your shoulder here, and that prevents the cord from being pulled or stepped on while you're using the floor scraper. So we have the Beaver 240 here, and it's a very simple machine. It's a push machine as we've discussed, and we're going to run that through this floor all the way to the end, and you'll see how that goes. Then we move over about 4 to 6 inches, or about 100 to 200 mils depending on the floor, and we'll do another strip through there. Okay, and now we're going to switch out the 250mm wide blade. So to do that, we'll unplug the machine and tilt the machine onto its back. Okay, so the screws to hold the blade are mounted underneath to prevent getting damaged by floor coverings. and we install the 250mm blade. It's a good idea when tightening to have the handle in this position, so if you do slip, you're coming away from the blade. Okay, we now have the 250mm blade installed, and we'll take up the rest of this floor. Okay, so now we'll plug the machine back in. Put the cord over our shoulder, and we'll take up the remaining section of this floor. So you may find it beneficial to move the machine into a higher position to get more of the glue off, so we'll do that now. And we'll take this next 2 strips off. Okay, so you understand we did pre-score through the centre there to make sure these 2 sections are kept separate. So that's why it was peeling up in through the centre there, even without the carpet blade. So you see the machine, Beaver 240 machine is quite effective. It is a lot more labour intensive than a Beaver 300, which we'll show you now. Okay, so now we're going to install the carpet 120mm blade into the Beaver 300. So to do that, we need to firstly remove this transport dolly here. The first step to tilting the Beaver 300 back is making sure that the machine is in its lowest position. So on the Beaver 300 we have different positions available. Okay, so we have a little knob here that we pull, and giving the machine just a little bit of a push down because it's sprung up. We pull the knob and we have the highest position there. So the first thing we need to do is to lower the machine to the lowest position. So I'll pull that out, bring it down to the lowest position, and then we can tilt the machine over onto its back. So to lift the machine onto its back, once we've got it in the lowest position, you crouch and grasp each side here and lift the machine over until it rests on the feet at the back there. And then we'll grab the Allen key here. And remove the dolly, and we'll install the 120mm carpet blade into the centre of the machine. So remember, when you're installing a blade into any of these machines, keeping your hands well clear, wearing protective gloves if needed, but when you are tightening the bolts, keeping your hand out this way so if you do slip, you come away from the blade. Okay, now we'll tilt the machine back over. Okay, so the Beaver 300 is a self-propelled machine. We have the drive here and the drive motor and gearbox, and we have in the front here 2 drive pins. So with the drive pins installed, we can't move the machine by hand, and these pins need to be removed. But to install these pins, we need to first line up where they go. Okay, so underneath the machine we have the holes here to install the pins, and we need to move the motor so that the pins are lined up. So we'll plug the machine in. Then using the forward button or reverse button, we can move this location here. You can see the pin there. That should line up where the hole is for the pin here. So we'll do that. You can actually push the machine over to one side, and that lets you get the pin in. So we'll do the other side here. Pull the machine over and put the other pin in. Okay, so the Beaver 300 is self-propelled, and we have a few controls. So we have forward here and reverse here, and we have overrides on the outside. To adjust the speed of this machine, we use the dial here, and to go in full reverse, we push both these buttons on the left. Alright, so once again, we put the cable over our shoulder for safety. And you need to get the machine lined up to the floor. So in this case, I'm going to go in reverse, set my speed, and steer as I go. Okay, I'm right to go. Then we can switch on the oscillation, and we're going to run through this floor as fast as this Beaver will let us do it. As you can see, I won't be doing any of the work myself, just guiding the machine. Now I'll stop right there just to explain something as to the self-drive. So it's very important we don't turn that dial up to flat out or use the override buttons when we're going forward and taking up a floor covering, particularly because we don't want these wheels to actually be spinning on the ground. It doesn't have any purpose having the wheels spinning. We bring the speed dial up to the point where the wheels are just starting to slip, and then you back it off a tiny bit. So that's what I'm doing here. So when it comes time to go into reverse, it's a good idea to have an assistant to keep the cable out of the way, and we'll push both reverse and override buttons to go back fast, leaving our set speed. And as we go in reverse, we need to make sure that we're positioning ourselves ready for the next run. Okay, so you can see here we've taken out two 120mm wide strips, and I've left about 150 or thereabouts in between. Now we could have left that to 200 depending on the floor, but whatever's left is what we're going to take up with the standard blade. Okay, so now we're going to install the 250mm standard blade. First thing is to unplug the machine, then we'll tilt the machine over. Okay, so we're now ready to take up the remaining strips. Okay, so there you have it. The difference between using a hand floor scraper, a push floor scraper, and a self-propelled floor scraper. Hopefully that gives you a few tips on how best to take up a floor and the difference between the three. Thank you for watching.